Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm really pleased to be connecting with you today. Please let me know if you can hear me properly. How I don't usually wear these, but I wanted to see how this sounds. Are we good to go? Okay. Wonderful. So I haven't done a YouTube in probably 10 days. And I wanted to jump on to kind of give you an update of what's currently taking place, give you the scoop, if you will. All right, my friends, let's do this. We're going to give it maybe one more minute, and then we're going to get into it. It's so nice to see you guys. Well, I see I have the little tick mark beside Feel Good now, which is so good. There's so many imposters out there nowadays. I'm going to just... Okay, that looks good. Alrighty, so we're going to begin. And thank you, Rena, for that donation. I really appreciate you. Thank you. So, right now, there are a lot of us who are feeling like we've spiritually outgrown the physical relationship that we're in, the physical situation that we're in, the physical circumstances that we're in. So a lot of us feel as though we've spiritually outgrown. How can you know when you've outgrown something? You can always know you've outgrown something because you're completely okay with where you are. You're not lacking anymore. You've had to practice patience so much, and you finally dropped into the space of accepting where you are. This is how you can know when you've outgrown something. When you're not fidgety, when you're not fighting, when you're not resisting where you are. All right? So a lot of us feel this way, like we physically outgrown, or I want to say spiritually outgrown, the physical spaces or relationships that we're still in, which is understandable because if you think about it, what you see around you is a product of the vibration that you were dwelling at when you made that decision. So from one perspective, you can say that your surroundings are representative of your past in a way. So they're here now. So this is what I want to say tonight, that the now, think of the now as a huge tent. Now is a huge tent. And within this tent, you have the past, you have the present, you have the future, and every potential in between. So in this now, you can actually interface with a multitude of different probabilities, which are reflective of different points on the now. The now is all there is. But the energies of the past and the future are always here. The timelines of the past and the future are always here. So based on that, there are going to be two groups of people right now. There are going to be those of you who are feeling as though you've outgrown your current situation. And when you look out into the world, you're like, well, this doesn't really reflect how I feel on the inside. Meaning you're at peace with where you are physically, 100%, but you feel like where you currently are doesn't reflect how you feel on the inside, what you've achieved frequentially, what you've achieved frequency-wise inside of yourself, meaning your body has actually absorbed has actually absorbed all the energy from the future, from the now. You love it all because there's no more separation. But there's still somewhat of a discrepancy because you don't feel like you're fully where, in other words, you don't feel like your current life represents your spirit. But you feel patient. You're not in a rush to get anywhere because you're fully integrated, and you've come to terms with where you are. All right. That means that within the tent of the now, you're actually in the past still. You're still in the past. And you can actually interact with your future, and you probably are already. Like for me, I already feel like I'm in a beautiful land, in a beautiful house, and I love this apartment. So there's no separation. That means that you've integrated how you feel. You're not in a hurry. Now, why is it that sometimes people want to go ahead and make that impulsive decision anyways? They're like, well, I feel like I'm ready for that house, so I'm going to go buy that house. People feel that because they're still trying to coordinate as a human what they could never coordinate if they were the higher self. So your universe has a plan that's way bigger than you can fathom. And the reason why a lot of you are feeling like you have to wait is because you live in a collaborative universe. You live in a cooperative universe. You live in a co-creative universe. So even though you may want to change, you're like, no, but I know in my heart that something's stopping me from doing so. Something's prohibiting me from making the change or taking that leap. That's because inherently, you know that there are other factors that are going to tie in, or like a symphony, there are going to be different cooperative components that are going to pull together to shoot you like a slingshot into that next timeline. But you're already indwelling that other timeline. You can feel it in your soul. You're like, I love where I am. There's nothing wrong with it. And I also feel like I'm somewhere else in the future that feels more harmonically aligned with who I've become. So again, you're not fighting where you are. You're not objecting to where you are. There's a peace in your body. That's because you know instinctively and intuitively that the universe is blocking you from doing anything else right now. You may want to travel, and the universe is like, no, pump the brakes. We don't want you to travel right now. That's because your soul or the universe wants to really dazzle you in its endeavor to pull things together for you. So I'll give you a very practical example. Let's say that I'm a single man right now. I'm just going to use an example. I'm a single man. I'm living in an apartment that I love. I feel like I'm ready for that house, but something is stopping me from purchasing a home. Well, what it could be is that the universe wants me to wait for a partner to come along so that we can purchase a home together, which would be a blast. And so innately, I know that the frequency of where I am right now feels more comfortable than purchasing a home prematurely on my own. So I know that I'm not going to fight where I am. But you have to keep in mind that the universe is co-creative. It is collaborative. So it actually wants to bring forces into your fold, into your reality, so that you can make things happen together. Another example would be if you're a songwriter or a singer and you've written this smash of a hit song and something's telling you don't release it just yet. That's because there are universal forces that want to ensure that when you do launch it, it makes it to the top of the Billboard charts. So there's a collective, collaborative component to this game. Now, sometimes we ask ourselves, well, why is it that I haven't, if I'm vibrating at this higher level now, why is it that I haven't manifested what I want? Which is a very valid question, by the way. Because we always hear, well, when you start to move into a higher octave of vibration, then you can manifest instantaneously. But that's not really true, because you're still in a construct of time. The way that we designed this reality was that if you were an instantaneous manifester on a really shitty day, if you said something to the effect of, I'm ready to die, I want to kill myself, or I wish I didn't live anymore, you would poof disappear and be gone. So the reason why we created the construct of time is so that we can reconsider our choices, so that we can have time to see how we feel if what we happen, to see if what we desire, how it feels if it were to happen. So we designed this construct of time to slow everything down, but not so that it works against us, but that it works for us. So the construct of time, you have an idea, right? This idea vibrates so fast. And this is how I see it. You know those pinball machines? Imagine that your body is a pinball machine. And now you take this ball, which is this energy or this thought or this idea, and you throw it into the pinball machine. Now this energy starts to travel in your body. So I imagine I'm going to travel to Egypt. I'm throwing the ball into the pinball machine. The ball starts to move into the pinball machine. And I can feel, does it feel good? Oop, it's bumping up against something. Oop, it just smashed against something. Oop, right? And at the end of it, I'm going to be able to tell if I still want it. So the construct of time allows us to, in a way, psychically interact with these different energies that we throw into the field of existence, just like you throw a cake in the oven. And then you start to feel into it. Ooh, I don't know, I like this, I don't like this. That's what time allows us for. It gives us time to figure out what we really want. It gives us time to feel into what we thought we wanted, to see if it's going to stand the test of time, and if you're still going to want it as bad as when you first conceived the idea. So a lot of us don't like that things take time, but there's always a reason. Another good metaphor would be that you're throwing a thought into a factory, and you are the factory, and you start to feel that thought move in your body. And at the end, when it gets spit out into a final product, you're like, I want it or I don't want it. Meh, meh, meh. And you're like, no, I'm good. I don't want it. I've already. So, because I know a lot of people are feeling this way right now. I know that I'm at peace with my life, and I still don't comprehend what I want hasn't been brought to fruition. There's nothing you're doing at all. Nothing wrong at all. If anything, the construct of time is pulling. It's been thrown, like everything that you desire has been thrown into the pinball machine, and is starting to gather different components to make that happen for you. But the universe wants you to have a pleasurable and exhilarating experience. It doesn't want you to have an experience that's too predictable. So of course you can use your free will and wield your free will to decide, well, I'm going to do it anyways, which is fine. You might get what you want sooner, but it might be a recipe for disaster later, meaning you might wish you had not done it. So I just want you to know tonight that you are. Oh, am I buffering? Are you guys not seeing me right? I hope you are. Thank you for the donation, by the way, Lydia. Thank you, Rena. Thank you, David. Are you guys seeing me okay? Because I see myself perfectly well. Okay. Okay. So now I want to speak to the people who are, so you got the first one, right? So I'm going to break this down in two sections. The first section was you're in the tent of the now, you're in the now, the field of the now, but you're in the past because you've already made peace with where you are. And now there's a predominant energy of where you're going to be. And you know you have to wait for it. So it's a waiting game. So you're in the past under the umbrella of the now. So you're actually going to experience so many glitches in the matrix because you see that your physical world is really just reflective of your past now, but you're at peace with that. So it's actually kind of cool when you can start to see your reality bend a little bit in a very fluid manner. But yes, everything is the now, but if you've already integrated your lessons, if you've already come to peace or come to terms with where you are, then the likelihood is that you're experiencing life from the past. And you're probably experiencing your future as a memory. So I experience my future as a memory. It's never something that I have to aim for. It's never something that I have to reach for. I experience my future as if it were a past, but it feels like a future memory. It's something that's already been accomplished in the quantum field. And I'm just basically enjoying my experience, my unified experience, because I know what's coming. So now I'm going to address the second group. There's a group of you right now who are in the tent of the now. Everything is in the now, but you're in the future. Not in a good way, okay? Not in a good way. You're in the future because you're trying to bypass the lessons of the present. You're trying to count your chickens before they hatch. You're trying to put the cart before the horse. All of these sayings are applicable. So you're under the umbrella of the now, but you're getting ahead of yourself because you're lacking patience. Because you're not able to find comfort in the now moment. So if you're feeling that way, then you need to back it up. Okay, you need to take a few steps back. You need to slide all the way back because there are items that you need to pick up in your past, right? In your mind, mentally, you're way ahead of yourself. You need to come back to the present, which is your past. And you need to pick up some magical items. You need to integrate more lessons. You need to come to terms with the knowingness that you cannot escape any present moment. So some of you might be feeling like that as well. You're like, I can't stand my relationship anymore. And you're always complaining, or you're getting ahead of yourself. No, I just can't be in my city anymore. I have to leave now. That means, so if you're feeling that reactivity bubble in you, that reactivity means that you're not at peace with where you are. So you're getting way ahead of yourself. And all you're going to do is you're going to drag that luggage of not being present into that next timeline. So you can still make that other timeline happen, but that's going to be your ego making it happen. That's not going to be your higher self making it happen for you. In other words, you still have the hand on the steering wheel. You're trying to control everything. And what you want to do is back it up so that you can really synchronize with your higher self, harmonize with the universe, and know that there are more crucial lessons at hand, which you cannot bypass. So to me, this is my own definition of bypassing. Have you guys ever heard of what reptilian consciousness is? Have you guys ever heard those two words, reptilian consciousness? Please say yes in the comments if you have. So you've heard of reptilian consciousness. So to me, a reptilian consciousness isn't like bad per se, but a reptilian consciousness, how it's been described to me. So I can only interpret the visions or the insights that I receive the way that I interpret them. So I'm going to give you my interpretation of what a reptilian consciousness is. A reptilian consciousness is a individual or any consciousness that can evolve. So they can evolve, but they're not going to take their emotional body with them. So most of the time, people who hold more of a reptilian consciousness, which is directly linked to the ego and not wanting to face ourselves, which is a choice. Everything is a choice. Let me use a very practical example. So you have someone who is anorexic. This person who is anorexic or bulimic or suffers from body dysmorphia, they deep down know that they need to heal themselves, but they refuse to heal themselves. So they can still evolve in the sense that they can start to mimic what spiritual people say. They can start to mimic what they hear. They can start to listen more, to be more attentive, to hold a space. They can actually learn those skill sets. They can learn the skill set of holding a space for someone, calling their friends to check up on them. So they can have a really good heart. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty of what they need to work on and what they need to heal within themselves, they're not going to go there. They're always going to bypass. So they're able to evolve, but they're trying to get ahead of what their present moment is asking them to do. So they can still evolve, but they're not going to be embodied. So all of us have, a tinge of that reptilian energy because we all still have things that we're working on, a shadow that we're still working on. But usually you're going to have an individual who has a willingness to heal themselves versus a human that at all cost, they will fight tooth and nail to never address those deeper issues. So that's how I break down reptilian consciousness. I've never heard anyone explain it that way, but that's my own interpretation. So the person can still be a very good human. They can still have very good intentions. They can even get to the point where they're not going to infect you or contaminate you with their energy because they really learn how to work with their consciousness, but they're skipping the part of their emotional structure. I hope that makes sense to you guys. So right now, there are a lot of people grappling with the fact that they're not where they want to be, but that reptilian consciousness is so dominant that they're not wanting to turn back around and to feel what they're feeling. Feeling is the most imperative thing that we can do on this journey, because when you feel, not only do you heal, but when you feel, you become the alchemist. When you feel, you are alchemizing, you are transmuting energy. And you can be confronted with a myriad of challenges in life or adversity in life that's really painful and really hard to move through. But if you move through it with grace and you're willing to open up your heart constantly, then when you make it to the other side of that graduation, you'll never have to go through that lesson again. And that's what it means to become embodied. I go through stuff, I've gone through stuff all my life, but I don't shy away from really connecting into my emotional body, because I know that as I feel all of that pain or feeling like I'm not in control, I'm actually transforming the energy within myself. And now it's to the point where a lot of times when I'm faced with or confronted with different problems, and I don't mean that with a negative connotation, but different problems, I don't even feel the emotions. All I feel is the pure energy traveling through my system, just like that pinball. Now, if someone has a lot of density within their physical structure, meaning they still have a lot of trauma that they don't want to look at in their physical structure, when that pinball hits the side or bounces against the wall, it's going to hurt a lot. It's going to hurt a lot. But eventually we become so adept at feeling that when a lesson that's familiar shows back up, you actually don't feel anything anymore. So I'll give you an example. If you get nervous when you travel, you're going to feel that nervousness, and then the next time you travel, you're not going to feel it as much. You might still feel it a little bit, but it's going to lessen over time, and then you're going to be a professional traveler. And then when you have to travel, you don't feel anything anymore. You still pick up on the different emotions, but you pick them up as pure energy. And you can actually see all the timelines associated to those energies, but you're not internalizing it as pain anymore. So for those of you who have already overcome the patience piece around where you are, so you fully come to terms with where you are right now, and of course you still desire where you want to be, but you know that that's just an illusion. For those of you who have already reached that level, when you connect to your future timelines, you won't feel pain. You won't feel like this impatience of like, when is it going to happen? Because you've already made amends with where you are. But you're still going to feel it in terms of energy in your body. For the second group, who is really hell-bent on getting to the next destination, because you're so resistant, then yes, you are going to be running up against a lot of, you're going to be butting up a lot against a lot of resistance, which is painful because there's still an item that needs to be picked up, meaning being okay with where you are, knowing that you are the solution, knowing that there's nowhere to run to. It's all here right now. So, and it's really interesting because when you really realize this in life, then the time isn't something that you yell at anymore. You're not like, when is this going to happen for me anymore? You're not yelling because you're not judging anything anymore. So time truly becomes an illusion where you're like, okay, I'm just going to sit back on my recliner chair because I know the universe is readying me for something incredible, for something that's going to blow my socks off. The universe is going to freaking dazzle me. So all these energies that I've thrown into the pinball or that I've thrown into the factory, they're already out there in the field pulling different components together for me and when it's time for me to step onto that timeline. Does that make sense, you guys? So thank you for the donations, by the way. Yes, so your life right now may not necessarily reflect what you've achieved vibrationally and also bodily because it's a physical body integration. It may not reflect this yet, but it's such a gift because you get to be in the past for a little while. And you'll feel like that because you look around and you're like, I love my place. I love where I'm at. And I'm also living in this other timeline. The reason why you'll see yourself in this other timeline is because your physical body has already integrated that energy. So you're in the past. And it's really cool when you perceive life that way because let's say that in your past, right, you've already become Usher or like Chris Brown or Nicki Minaj, whoever, right? But the world doesn't know that yet. When you walk around, you've already integrated that frequency of knowing who you are because that future timeline has already unlocked for you. It's like a vault filled with gold. It's a knowing. It's a vault filled with gold that you've already unlocked. So when Nicki Minaj walks around on the street before she becomes Nicki Minaj, she can see everyone, but they don't know who she is yet. They don't know who she is yet. So it's really cool because it's like a glitch. It's almost a psychedelic, almost like a trippy experience. So we have to embrace all of it because the universe is allowing us to extract information from the field as the present, as the past, as the future, in every now moment. In every now moment. But most of the time, when you are resisting where you are and you are insisting on where you want to be, that feeling that you have in your heart, like your chest, you feel anxious, you feel stressed. Anytime you feel stressed, anxious, worried, all of that stuff, you're getting way ahead of yourself. So the now is pulling you with the rope, saying, come back, reel it in, reel it in, reel it in, because you're still fighting yourself and what you need to deal with on the inside. So there's more investigation that needs to happen. Also, you can't trick the universe. You can't be so materially focused that you get what you want and think that that's happiness, because it's not happiness. That's you still operating as a materially based human being. So you're cutting yourself off from your multidimensionality. And most of us who are tuning in right now, like most of you who are tuning in right now, the reason why you've been feeling so differently is because you've already activated your multidimensional apparatus. And this is new to all of us. To be able to read all these different timelines when you walk on the street without associating to them or without attaching to them, that's what we're coming into now. It's almost like we're learning how to taste energy. We're eating energy, we're absorbing energy, and we're like, and we're having an experience no matter what we think about. And then we digest that experience, and then we decide, is it still something that I want? So it's all very new for the new human to be able to taste energy, to be able to smell energy. You know, back in the day, when my friends would ask me to go out and I didn't feel like it, I didn't know at the time that I was actually time traveling to that experience. So it went from not knowing why I didn't want to go to fully picking up on the scene in the movie, time traveling, coming back into my body, realizing I don't want to go because I've already done it. And now it's taken on a whole new form. It's been upgraded. And the upgraded is I'm not actually time traveling. I'm tasting the energy. I'm previewing the energy by tasting it, by smelling it. It is a sixth sense. Just like we have five senses, we can actually use the sixth sense to smell energy, to taste energy, and it happens so fast now. We know exactly what flavor it is. So these are all new technologies that are coming online for us. So anyways, I just wanted to jump on tonight just to very simply say that everything is on schedule. And if you've been in that boat where you think there's something wrong with you because it hasn't arrived, but you've been diligently doing your spiritual practice, you feel peaceful, you feel joyful, but for some reason your life isn't moving much in a physical sense right now, there's nothing you're doing wrong. It's just that the universe is gathering these cooperative components that are going to make your dreams come true, that are going to realize your desires. That's all. And then if you have been feeling fidgety or impatient or frustrated, then the present moment that you've escaped is in your past in a way. You got way ahead of yourself. You need to come back to that past moment. You need to come back to the situation that you're in fully, so that you can sync up with the present moment again. But when you're really integrating a lot of energy, you will see life as if you're in the past. You really will. Everything will feel like it's a past scene in a movie that you get to enjoy through that lens. Because you already know, doubtlessly, that what you've already concocted through your vibration is just a matter of time. That's all. All right, I hope that helps you guys. If you would like to donate tonight, I really appreciate it, but I don't expect it. My link is feelgoodlife.com/donate. feelgoodlife.com/donate. I'm going to attach a link below, and I'll be back with more really soon. I love you.